Hello again everyone and welcome back to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage. Today I'm going to show you how to reinstall the light fixture for a vintage Singer sewing machine. Now this particular machine is the 99K. I believe you can just make it out there on the lovely badge on this machine. This is a 99K, but this will apply to a number of vintage sewing machines that Singer made, most of them being straight stitch. I say most. And the light fixture has a cover that looks like this. And there's a right way and a wrong way. And I wanted to show you, I have a broken example of how in the past it looks like someone had tried to do it the wrong way and ended up breaking their cover. So let me show you what I'm referring to when I say the right way. So we've already covered again how to reinstall the light bulb. The light bulb is sitting there waiting for us to finish, and it is now time to finish what we were doing to begin with. Now I'm going to show you very often when you're changing a light bulb, I really like this light fixture design by Singer because it's designed to remove fairly simply. Replace your bulb, put the cover back, the cover being the top, which is this plastic Bakelite shell, and then of course the glass lens you see over here on the left. And there's also a reflector piece, right? There's a piece of steel that is used to reflect light. Now when you put the piece back in, I've sort of demonstrated that before, okay? But I'm going to show you how it's done. Okay, it's very easy. There are no screws to attach. Make sure you line it up. I think I've shown this in one of the earlier episodes. And once you have it lined up, you are going to simply push down with your thumb. You'll notice that here there are these lovely little pieces of steel that come out. They help to sort of create the tension with this piece. And I'm simply going to hold it and push it down into place. You should hear a little light snapping sound, and if you're not sure, you can check it on the side. There should be no open seams there. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Now, when you have your glass light lens, okay, if you push it, sometimes people say, oh, well, the steel piece goes in this way, the glass will go in that way too. No, do not do that. Stop it right now. Don't go any further. Because if you try to slide your glass piece in, if you try to use pressure on the glass, hoping that it will now seat itself, it will not. Now there is a ridge inside here. Yes, there's a ridge. You think, well, hey, I see this ridge. You can see it in the light. I think if I get it in the right position here for you, you'll notice that there's a rim here, right? The piece comes up and then it stops, and there's like a little ledge. Well, that's not how it goes in. And if you push on it, as again in the past, someone did this, and when they pushed on it, it created too much pressure and split, and you end up with a broken shell. Now that shell is important because you don't want your light flying out all over the place. It can create a lot of glare, even with the incandescent bulbs. And the reason the plastic breaks is plastic, this piece of steel is somewhat flexible, but the glass is not. And this plastic has gone through many heat cycles, right? Think about over its lifetime. That incandescent bulb would get hot and the plastic would get warm and then it would cool. And over time, plastic is not inert. You know, it's amazing it's lasted as long as it did. It's not the plastic's fault. It's the person who tried to install the glass backwards. So, how do you install the glass? You actually install the glass like that. Remember, your bulb is going to be in here, and if your glass is like this, the bulb is not sitting on this side, right? It's not on the concave side. You want the convex. You want this to look like a jelly bean. When you have your glass installed and the cap, it's going to be shaped like a jelly bean. It would only be shaped like a half jelly bean if you did it the wrong way. So, what are we going to do? We know that the glass itself has a ridge, right? You can feel it. So you're going to want that ridge to slide into the steel piece here. Now, this steel will move, but remember your plastic is not going to flex as much as the steel will. So we're going to come in at an angle, and you can certainly try to come in at an angle. Now, the other way, what you'll find often, and I've often found this myself, is, well, if you can do that, but if you try to pop the glass in, again, you're going to stress the plastic. So let's not take that chance. We take the steel back out. Let's put the glass in the steel ahead of time. Now remember, this steel is somewhat flexible. So you want to, if the glass appears to be a little loose, right? If you look at it in profile, you can see that on the left side, it doesn't seem to be quite in there yet, right? So you want to make sure that the steel is going to surround that glass edge, because if you don't, your glass will simply fall out. It'll drop onto the floor or onto whatever surface you have your machine on. Now, one thing, I don't know if you heard that, it was a little clicking sound. So it's moving, right? It's shifting. The glass is not as wide as the steel. Now, there are different ways to do this. You could certainly push on the steel, but be careful. If you squeeze the steel too narrow, it's not going to sit so well in the plastic. So what we're going to do here, first we're going to put, and the steel does not have a top or bottom, so it doesn't really matter which angle you're on there. And we're going to push the steel so that it comes here, and then we're going to now, when I push this down, I'm still going to get the same effect, right? I'm going to have the steel, let's turn it this way, that's an easier way for you guys to see. The steel, right, it needs to, it's going to flex and come within on the inside of the plastic. We want to make sure our glass is not too far forward there. Glass back. There we go. So we want the glass to be able to be level, okay? Now you might think, well, the glass should go all the way to the end, right here. But if it does, then the glass is going to be at an angle and it won't seat properly, okay? So the glass does come beyond, let me get something to point with here. You'll see the piece of steel, the reflective steel, it ends here. The glass does project past it, but you don't want to come, you want to make sure the glass is level, right? So when I push down, there we go, the glass curve is actually slightly below the level. This will make more sense if I do this with the screwdriver. The level of the glass is actually below the level of the plastic. Okay, so again, everything is seated properly. The steel is in the plastic, and now your glass should stay where it was designed to stay. All right, we got one more thing to note here. All right, let me zoom back in. I want to make sure that this is apparent as to what I'm doing. So again, we have the glass sitting here, and if I want to take it out, I can do that easily because the glass is going to seat into the steel. So we put the steel in, you hear it click, and you'll notice, right, no gaps here. If the steel's not sitting in there, you'll see a black gap, but there's none. And again, we know that that's how that works. But this time we're going to make sure that we have our glass, and it's not going to feel, the steel is not going to feel all that tight around the glass. So if it was just hanging like this and I turn it this way, that glass is going to drop. It's going to fall out. But the steel is going to be squeezed. If I get it in front of where you can see it, this steel is going to get squeezed. It's already, if you look closely, you'll notice that the glass is already, the glass has an edge, right? It has a little, it turns to the left and then to the right on the other side. And it fits inside these little channels, right? You see the channel of the steel. Get some contrast here, you could actually see what I'm talking about. And if the camera person here will hold it still, there we go. Right? You see the channel? That edge of the glass is going to be, you can see the glass it has an edge, right? It has a rim. So it's going to sit here, but it's not going to feel super tight. But don't worry about that. Yours might be tight, and that's okay too. But remember, the glass is going to look something like that, okay? So the right side of the glass should be flush with the right end of this steel reflector, okay? And you will have some overhang on the left. I'm guessing it's like 5/8 of an inch or something like that. Now, just remember, when you go to put it in, again, line up the steel piece with this little indentation in the side. Trying to get where I can see and you can see. You want to put the steel piece is going to fit from this end to this end, right there. It's like a little indentation spot, and that's where the glass is going. That's where the steel piece is going to go. We've got our glass lined up. It's flush on the right. It overhangs on the left, like that. And I'm going to line up the steel now. Okay, don't move the glass. Leave the glass where you've got it, nice and flush. It may want to wiggle, but just be patient with it. Be patient with you. Okay. Yep, I've got my steel there. And I'm going to push in. And I have now installed it. It's nice and tight. It's not going to come loose. And that is how you install this. Now that you have, that's how you assemble these three pieces: the glass, the reflector steel, and the plastic cover. Now you're not done yet. Obviously, we're going to be installing this back onto the socket and the bulb, and and I'll basically be showing you when I took this apart. I think I demonstrated in that video why I like this particular fixture so much. It is designed not to be overly complicated to get to the bulb. They knew that the bulbs would burn out. So it's time to put the shell, right, the cover, the lamp cover, or the light cover, back on. So I just had been using this old thread spool to just give me a little space to work with my bulb. Again, make sure that your bulb, if your bulb doesn't pull down, it doesn't wiggle, it should be installed. And I've already shown that in the prior videos. If you haven't seen those, please go back and watch those, because how you install any light bulb, especially a bayonet, is a little more, it's not more complicated, it's just different than, say, a threaded screw type base of a light bulb. All right, so remember, we have our bands, right? We don't want our bands to be we don't want to bend them backwards because they're under tension for a reason. Remember these little areas here from when I showed in an earlier video, right? So right here, these bands on each side, get into some better light here. You can see a little bit better. The bands are going to come, they're going to push off here, they're going to slide down, and then they're going to stop right there. The bands have a shape. Let's see if I can show this against this light background here, it might help. As they come down, there's a little protrusion there, right? A little bump, little speed bump on either side. And of course, the bands, if you look at the tip of the band, look how they're shaped, right? They have these little curvatures that are going to sort of clasp. They're going to clasp the end of this piece. And again, my description is it takes much longer than actually doing it. So let's just do it, right? So we're going to do this. The first thing we're going to do is make sure, again, you want to line it up. Don't put the band here, right? And not down here on the glass. You want it right there, right? So if you're looking at this piece, right, you want it right there, okay? And there's, again, this is like a flat ridge band, if you will, on the plastic shell. That's where each of these is going to go. So we're going to basically, and I'm having to do this with one hand and my fingers because, again, it's under tension. That's all right. It's designed to be. You won't break the bands. Again, just don't bend them backwards. Now let's let you all see this in profile, because this is actually I think I mentioned in one of the earlier videos on this, this is actually how you would normally access the bulb. Remember that I chose to remove this housing, this Bakelite piece that says Singer on it, the glass, and the metal mirror reflector shield. I did that because I was having to get the old bulb out that was broken, and I was having to get it out, fish it out, which normally you wouldn't have to do. Normally, the way you change a bulb is you simply take this piece and you slide it down these slide pieces, and just so you know, I want you to see what it should look like when you're putting it back in. You can see where it's lined up here, right? And it is the same width. The width of this band, right, is the same width as this down here. This band looks narrower because it includes the steel. Don't worry about that. You're still in alignment, right? So this is how it should look, guys. Let's zoom in just so you can see. Because a lot of times, you know, someone describes something, but seeing is believing, right? So there you go. The band should look like this. It'll be flush on the right, and then it'll look like it's overhanging because this this strip of plastic right here where the screwdriver is, it's actually fairly flush with the steel piece when we reinserted the glass. So what are we going to do? We're going to push forward, and notice it just slides, right? Same thing is happening on the other side. On this side, you can see, right? It was designed. It's beautifully designed this way, right? So we're going to push down, and look at that. I kept pushing, and these bands, they expanded, they went right over, and now they're sort of hugging onto those little protrusions at the end of the plastic. So let's get you guys a nice close-up. I really want you to see so it'll make better sense. First I have to put it in the right position for you. Let's get down here against the light background. Hopefully this will show up for you. So if I zoom in a little bit more, you'll see what I mean. You can see the end of the band, right? It bends out, it sort of curves around, and there's this little indent, or not indent, a little outcropping of the plastic. Now on the left, it's a little more snug. That's not unusual. That typically happens if you open these up enough. Now, let's say you say, well, yeah, but what? And I showed this in the other video. Why do I like this design so much? Because if I don't put pressure against this switch. It's heat fatigued plastic, and it still works beautifully. Just don't stress it. Put your thumb here between these two metal bands and press down, and you pull. And when you do, look at that, right? This is how you would normally, and normally you just bring it here. You still have the bands on. You haven't had to take it down. And if you have a threaded bulb, some of these Singers will have a threaded bulb. I can't tell you the years where sometimes Singer used threaded, but a bayonet was very common, almost always common during many decades of vintage machines. In any case, you get your bulb, the old bulb removed, you put the new one in, and then you simply slide this back. How wonderful is that? That is so user-friendly. Okay, so again, I'm just going to keep sliding. Oh, this is what I wanted to show you again. In close-up, in this light, let's see. I'll show you exactly what I mean. So here's the end of the band. I haven't fully closed it yet, right? It still needs to come down, but look what it's coming over. You see the plastic, how it rolls out, okay? And then it rolls back in. Why? It's doing that because the metal piece, right, is shaped to form with it, right? You can see it bumps out, this little band, and then it has a little clasp at the end. So it's just a fantastic design. Let me put this, there we go. I'm going to do this, bear with me guys. I'm going to do this, and I want you to see how when you push down, what's actually going on. If I can get out of my own way here. There we go. Okay, let's get that nice cream background. Watch what happens when I push. And there we go. Now I know the one on the left looks a little tighter, right? Now, if you're having issues with the light not wanting to stay in these bands are pretty strong. You'll feel it. You know, you could take it out and you could try to bend the end of the band further inward. I just don't think it's necessary. Again, this is very snug and it's not going anywhere. If I pan back on the camera, I'll show you what I mean. See, I've got the light fixture and I can wiggle it up and down. Nothing's moving. It's solid. These bands are very strong. This is not cheap crap. Nothing at Singer in these days was cheaply done, in my humble opinion. Okay, guys, what do we have left? Going on 20 minutes here. Let's get moving. All right, so we are going to put the machine back where it belongs. On the back side of the machine, it mounts. It has a wonderfully simple mounting. So what do you see here? On this side, there are two spaces. There's a hole here, right here, but that's not threaded. I don't know what kind of filth that is. Something. This hole here above is threaded, and that's where your bolt is going to go. Okay. Now, so what is this one down here for? Well, that's a clever thing. Look at the angle of this bracket. This thing is held on with it's just an amazing thing. It's not bent. It looks like somebody twisted it, but it's actually designed this way. If you look at it, it flares out. It comes out this way and it turns. Why? Because this bracket is designed to hug the curved shape of the Singer body. So this big hole without threads is where you put this little dimple. I call it it's not a dimple. What would we call this, guys? This little round bump, okay? It's going to go here and simply help stabilize our bracket. And then, what's left? All we got to do then is screw in the bolt. By the way, I think when I took this apart, I told you all, this is a washer that is designed to stay there. So it should not fall out on you, although I suppose it could happen. But it's designed. If you look at this bolt, let's really geek out here. Okay, look at the bolt, everyone. Do you see the bolt? Well, if you notice, if I can hold it still enough for you, this washer, I'm going to have to zoom in, otherwise you're not going to see what I mean. This washer is on the threaded part of the bolt, but then there's a cap. Right? It doesn't seem to want to pass that end, and that's a good thing. It's designed to stay there, okay? Now, and if yours is missing for some reason, who knows what happens to these machines over a lifetime, you will be able to find a Singer bolt that is compatible. Now, what am I going to do? And this is just because it's probably not been done since 1951 or so, when this machine came off the line. I'm just going to put one little drop of oil. That's not a normal oiling point. I always try to call out to you guys. That's not normal sewing machine oiling maintenance. That is literally just a restoration technique, because metal to metal typically requires some kind of lubrication when the metal's going to move. Okay, so what am I doing? I'm holding it. I'm holding it with my right hand, and I'm trying to I'm just doing this by hand. I don't even have my screwdriver on it yet. And I'm getting it threaded. Okay, it's still loose. Now, this thing will pivot, but then if I push in for that little, that nice little round, concave little cap that goes into that lower hole, now I can simply turn my bolt. I would normally use my screwdriver tips for this, but this is not. This bolt turns, and then when it gets snug, I'm just going to stop. It's not a big deal. It's not a problem. I mean, snug is fine. It's not. It shouldn't go anywhere, right? I can touch it. I can turn my my switch. No big deal. And my wiring is in good shape there. So there you go. You don't often get to see the backside of a Singer 99 in my videos anyway. This is the reassembly. Now, again, for most of you, if your bulb is not broken like mine was, and you have to, go through this project to get it out like I did, but I showed you all how to do it. It can happen. Normally, again, you push here, you slide, you change your bulb, you slide it back. Again, it's one of the things I love about Singers. They were designed this way partially for their owners because they were very user-friendly for the most part. And then they were also designed to be quick and efficient to service because Singer had their own service people. They worked for the Singer company and they needed to be productive with their time. So it benefited both the technicians as well as the DIY. And it benefits all of us today. I don't know that that was their intention, but all these years later, long after the Singer manufacturing company is gone, millions of their machines are out there for us to restore. I hope this little series of videos, including this video, was helpful for all of you when you've had to deal with light bulb issues on any sewing machine, but Singers in particular. And if you have not subscribed, please do so. And if you have not contributed but would like to, just click on any of these videos. They all have a Buy Me a Coffee link. You can go and donate to whatever level you might see fit. If you believe you have benefited from this channel and want to see me continue going out to find more machines to rescue, to then use as teaching examples. It's like a lab. We're trying to learn how to save our machines, and then I will hopefully find a future owner, someone who will take this machine and put it to good use. Because, well, let's just call it like it is. I'm not a sewer. I try, but my viewers, most of my viewers you are masters at sewing, and I admire you because it's an incredible skill. It can take a long time to get really good at, and I really admire you for your sewing skill. Maybe one day I'll go looking at YouTube channels on Sewing 101. Who knows? I don't know. Hope springs eternal, they say. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.